Welcome to Keto is the Worst, where I believe that if done properly, a ketogenic diet is not only healthy, but it is sustainable long term and not at all restrictive. So today what I am making is a Greek-inspired chicken. I say that because it's going to be using a yogurt-based marinade, I guess you can call it. I've never made it before. I have always wanted to make it, but I was staying away from yogurt when I started ketogenic diet. But if you listen to a lot of people, they say that it is okay. It's just about 8 grams of sugar per serving. We're going to make the marinade now, and because I am not in a real kitchen, in a professional setting, I am going to have to wait the 4 hours. I can't just come off camera and bring it back. So I'm going to make it now, come back later and finish it off, and we'll see how it comes out. Let me talk to you about what it's going to use. We are using, of course, chicken thighs, full-fat Greek yogurt, turmeric, garlic, apple cider vinegar. I'm just pulling these things out of my head, so I don't really know. Maybe the basics: salt, pepper. Figure it out together. So let's get started. So let me talk to you real quick. Fortunately, we got that on this camera, vertical, but we did not get that on this one because I did not press record. And that is what happens sometimes when you're still new at things. I thought I pressed it, but it looks like it was recording. And then when I pressed it to record, it stopped recording, and I thought it was recording. So we're gonna have to use the vertical video for that. But so it's just upsetting. This smells good though. And at least we do have it somewhere, right? It's gonna look weird with the black bars on the side, but what can you do, right? Okay, bowl for your chicken. On some of these clips, I wait till the end to say the measurements, and some of them I don't even say it at all. So for now, you're gonna hear me here sometimes or on camera, like this. Okay, so we're doing 2 servings, 1.5 cups. That was a little less than 1.5 cups, but it'll be alright. Honestly, it tastes like salad. I'm gonna say 2 to 3 tablespoons. 1 to 2 tablespoons. This is salt to taste. I'm not super happy with that. Black pepper. Garlic powder. Bless you. I think I watched Sam the cooking guy, and he said put cilantro, but I usually don't buy those fresh herbs. So I got this instead, this dry cilantro leaves. A lot of things about, let me just say this real quick. There are a lot of things that I do, wow, this smells strong. There are a lot of things that I do that are for sort of meal prep specific, or kind of trying to make it easier on myself in the kitchen. So I don't like to buy a lot of fresh stuff. Sounds bad, but I do dried cilantro, this thing here. If you ever see me look off camera, it's because this is a whole bunch of dried herbs and stuff. I think I got it from Costco. And yeah, I just prefer this kind of parsley as opposed to real parsley and chives, as opposed to like buying it fresh and then having it waste away in the fridge, because I only cook once a week, twice a week, and not everything needs that. So for me, it's just a lot easier to buy the dry version. But that's about it. Let's put this in. I think cilantro is the thing that people say tastes like feet or soap. Guess I'm not one of them. Still want some red pepper. Right. Some turmeric. How you say it? You say turmeric or turmeric? I say this is solid as a rock. Not a lot, just to color it. A little garlic paste. And now this is sriracha hot chili sauce. And this is kind of hot. Duh. So don't put too much, just enough. Alright, this is what I said before, because instead of buying a lemon, which I don't use and I never use, I buy the concentrated lemon juice, and for me it's mostly good enough. It lasts a lot longer, and yeah, I don't have things that spoil. Alright, 227.21. And I think that's good. Just got a spoon and let's mix this all up. It smells pretty good. Jesus. Reset. Oh my God. And as you can see, that is where I realized I wasn't recording. Upsetting! You make mistakes, that's what it is. That's why we do this, right? Okay, so we're gonna season this. Salt. Black pepper. There's enough garlic in this. I'm just gonna put onion powder instead. That's it. Always remember which hand you used, because now I have to season with my left and my seasonings are on my right. We're just learning a whole bunch of lessons today. Oh my God. How weird this is. Okay, so that's that. And now we're gonna put this into the yogurt. And here, you tell me I need a bigger bowl, that's pretty good. Now, we're just gonna get in there. Okay. So I'm gonna pick this up to show. But, right, let's see if you can focus in on this. Yep. Again, the autofocus is nowhere near where it's supposed to be. Oh, did I drip? No, I did not. Alright, this one has been a whole mess, but we're here. I'll be back in about a few hours. Have some stuff to do, and yeah. So, yesterday was a show. Let's see what happens today. Welcome to Keto's the Worst, where I believe that if done properly, following a ketogenic lifestyle is not only healthy, but it is sustainable long term and not at all restrictive. So, today is a meal prep day. I was supposed to make these chicken thighs yesterday, but things got in the way, so then they've been marinating overnight, and we're gonna make it today. It's gonna be a part of my meal plan for the week. 2 of those days are going to be chicken thighs that I have marinated overnight in a yogurt-based marinade. It's kind of Greek inspired. I'm not sure how close it actually gets, and it's pretty simple, but it smells great. And I'm going to put that in the oven for a little bit. And the next thing is going to be meatballs that are stuffed with mozzarella. Wrap it in the ground beef, which is 2 parts ground beef, 1 part sausage. Put it in the oven, and then that will be alongside some cabbage. With that, I'll probably put some marinara sauce. But what else is there? And then on the side of the grilled chicken, I think I'm just gonna roast up some eggplant or make a little dip with it. Shouldn't take too long today, and we are good to go. Bye. So they kind of had it stacked in the chicken because, you know, if it's a rotisserie, not a rotisserie, when you have it stacked, you just kind of slice off the ends of each. I'm not sure if that's what I want to do, but we're gonna see how it looks. In the background, I am preheating the oven to 350, where everything is gonna go in today's video. Okay, so that's how it looks. It's been overnight, and what we are going to do is lay them out here. So there are 8 pieces in here, and I'm going to experiment with these 4. So these are going to come out a little bit earlier. Should I just do the whole thing like this? What do you think? Should I just do everything in this manner? Yeah. You're going to experiment the whole way, right? Just a heads up, this was ill-advised, but we will get to that later. Now we're going to try to move this towards the center. Sometimes, you shouldn't be allowed in the kitchen, but is this a thing? I have no idea if this is a thing, but I said if you watch enough videos, you see enough things, so that is what we're doing. I'm just putting some things around it. So you don't have to know what you're doing to do this. Okay, so that's still preheating. I am going to show you what this looks like. This is the contraption that we made. This is going to go into the oven for about 40 to 50 minutes at 350. This is where we start on our cheese stuffed meatballs. So it's 2 parts ground beef, 1 part ground sausage. This is a little bit more than a pound, and this is, well, the package comes in a pound, so this is going to be half a pound of ground sausage. Now it is time to season this. Just a regular salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. In addition, I am adding oregano and smoked paprika. And just a note about how I measure this, it's either a light coat or a heavy coat. Just make sure that it's all covered in some way, and that's about it. Now it's time to flip and do the other side the same way. Salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, oregano, and smoked paprika. This next step, I don't know where I picked it up from, but this is olive oil that I'm going to spread on my hands, and that is what I'm going to use so that the meat does not stick to my hands. I found that the best way to do this is just flipping it over a few times, and so that everything is layered onto each other and then all spread out evenly. Looking at the way that this gets formed, I had a weird idea about making this like a pizza, where you just top it with some marinara and some cheese and have it maybe crisp up, maybe the air fryer or something, and you have yourself a little meat pizza since we can't have dough. I might start a weird creations series maybe a little bit in the future. Anyway, this is me cutting this brick of low moisture mozzarella into cubes. I am looking for about 16 pieces, and here you will see that I'm separating the rejects from the ones that I actually want to put into the meatball, and the ones that are oddly shaped will go on top of the cabbage as a little topping. As I add this grated Parmesan to the ground beef, something that I did forget was to add an egg, and you can do this before so you don't have to actually mix it in twice. It will be a part of it the first time. What we are doing here is putting these little pieces to the side for later, and then folding in the Parmesan cheese into the ground beef that we forgot to do before. But after we shape it into a rectangle, we want to cut it into 16 in equal pieces. Now that I have 16 equal-ish pieces, this part is pretty simple, just putting a block of cheese into each section of meat, rolling it up, and this is a good way just to make it a nice smooth ball. There's no need to see me do this 16 times, so let's skip ahead to the last one. Next up is the eggplant, which I'm going to roast. I'm using this slicer so I can cut it into thin strips. I find that if you rotate it through the slicer, then it cuts a little bit more consistently. Instead of trying to push the entire thing through, it might pull off the slicer. And now to finish it off, I'm going to put on this glove so I don't cut myself. When your slicer falls apart, now you know that you have enough. Take out some parchment paper or anything that you use to line your bake sheet with and dump it all out. Once you spread it all out, I'm layering it with, this is avocado oil because it is better in high heat than olive oil. Adding some salt to it as well, pepper, and lastly some garlic powder. This shake really did nothing, but now you want to flip it and do the same thing on the other side. This goes into the same oven that has your meatballs and the chicken thighs at 350. We're all using the same oven, so really can't do anything with the temperature. This is how our meatballs came out. Most of the cheese is on the foil, but there's a good amount of cheese that stays inside, and I will show you that later. And we are going to set up our lasagna cabbage. Well, it's not really lasagna cabbage. It is just some sliced up cabbage in a pan with some marinara sauce, and we're going to use some of that leftover cheese from before. You want to oil the pan a little bit. This is also avocado oil, and just spread this out so it's a little even base. Sooner or later you're going to get sick of this, but we season everything with the same thing: salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Here I'm just checking which one is older because I have two that are open. But a little note on marinara sauce is that this is a pretty good brand for anybody who is keto and low carb, because there is no added sugar and the carb is low to begin with. Bring out the rejects from earlier and spread it on top. Final few steps, you are going to grate some Parmesan over the top and top it off with some oregano. This is now on its way to the oven, and we bring back the meatballs that we have put to the side now that they have rested a little bit. This next part is just to show you what they do look like on the inside. So I will take a bite right here, and you see that even though that most of the cheese did fall out, there is a pretty good chunk still inside. Good thing about timing your meal prep is that everything should be coming out at about the same time. So now these are the chicken thighs coming out. So we're going to take away the aluminum foil. This chicken has been in the oven for about 15 minutes at this time, and now we want to put it back inside the oven uncovered for a little bit to get a little bit more color. For most food channels, this is where you would start plating and making it look nice. For me, this is where I start to put it into their containers for the week. How long you're going to keep the cabbage in the oven is depending on how soft you want it, but you're really just looking for the cheese to melt and for the cabbage to be at the texture that you like it. Remember that we made 16 meatballs and that we were using 1.5 pounds. So if you want to do some math, I don't know what that is. I'm doing only 6 per serving, which is still good enough. What happens to those 3 other meatballs? Well, this is why I don't really plan on eating on my meal prep days, because as I go, I eat the extras, and that is what I have throughout the day. Now the eggplant is ready. Again, this is to your desired liking. I believe it does not take too long, maybe 30 minutes for this to be ready. The next thing ready is the chicken thighs. Now, you see, I think it looks great on the top and on the sides. However, when I do stick my thermometer into this thing, I realize that it might not be cooked through all the way to the center. So no harm done. All I'm going to do is spread these all out and put them back into the oven to cook. The one that was on top I'm going to put to the side and try, because that one is fully cooked. And for the future, I will try to do this again in that rotisserie style, but the only difference is that there are things online that I saw that you can actually buy, and they'll keep spinning and you keep chopping, it'll keep spinning, so it keeps cooking and it goes layer by layer. For this, for meal prep, it doesn't really make much sense unless you're going to like chop it all up and cook everything at the same time like that. So this is why we experiment, so you can learn. But as I'm trying this is actually really good. The flavor is really good, and I'm definitely going to put this as a part of my routine. We are ready for take 2. Now these look much better. They are cooked all the way through and the color is there. I don't know why this became out of focus, but this is where I portion these 2 things off. Some eggplant here and some chicken thighs there. That is about it. I'm about to bring in the meatballs and cabbage from off screen, but this is how I meal prep for the week. This is how I keep things so that they are not too repetitive. 2 of each is a lot better than 4 of one. And thanks for sticking with me this far. I want to thank you for watching, and if you are interested in learning more about how a ketogenic diet could help you with your weight loss and maintenance goals, consider subscribing or checking me out on my Instagram or checking out my website at ketostheworst.com, and I will see you in the next one.